Ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Ooh, sorry about that. What's going on, Bakersfield and surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube? This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, they are in for it. We'll talk about some NBA, obviously, with the NBA conference finals pretty much closing out. But we had well, not yet. The Knicks aren't out yet, but we'll get into that. Plus, some news out of the WNBA, some NFL talk. Plus, we'll have KG at the bottom of this hour to preview our interview with Jacob Fatu tomorrow, which is official. We'll run down the NHL, some news out of Aaron Rodgers, maybe not. We'll find out. Plus, we'll have Stephanie and Samantha from the Hey There, Delilah nonprofit organization. They have a golf tournament coming up in early June. I think it's about a week away.
I think it is, yeah.
But we'll hear about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special. If you have any questions, comments, call or text in anytime during the show to 661-842-2000.
And honestly, I know Sparky said the Knicks aren't out.
Nope. We'll find out. If they even it up tonight, it's a whole new series.
I got no faith they even it up tonight, but that's just that's my personal belief. But we'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's talk about the game we saw last night, which, again, as I said last week, was going to be the most telling game for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Was game 4 of this series. Game 3, they came out exactly like we thought they would. They popped them in the mouth, blew them out, and it was pretty ugly. It really, really was. However, game 4, as the Thunder have done multiple times this playoff run, came back and really showed the Timberwolves that they're not going away. They're not a young team, or at least a generic young team. And you got guys like Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren and obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the NBA, just showing everybody why this team might win everything this year. Shai ended with 40 points. I believe it was 10 rebounds, 9 assists. I mean, I know everybody's been calling him a free throw merchant, which is ridiculous in my personal opinion. We're really we're gonna give grief because somebody gets points at the free throw line.
I mean, were major free throws.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we've seen multiple games this playoff run by the Knicks and many others get their lead blown because they can't hit a free throw. Like, I'm sitting here like, I'm just giving it to Shai all game. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get to the free throw line, boy. If you score 50 points out of 50 free throws, I do not care.
50 points is 50 points.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for those of you on the internet who's, he's just a free throw merchant, blah, blah, blah. Man, that is a reach for people who are saying he doesn't deserve an MVP.
Well, he had a playoff career high yesterday with 40 points. And after he missed that one free throw, I was like, okay. There
was a slight chance there, right? You started to believe a little bit, just like, oh, wow, we might get a Pacer situation. But they did the smart thing, Sparky, and this is what I've been preaching. I know you hate it, but I've been preaching this because it's smart basketball. You're up by 3. Why are you letting them shoot one?
Yep.
Foul them. Make them shoot a free throw, make the free throw and miss the second one, and then luck has to come on their side of them getting an offensive rebound. Foul them. That was the most brilliant move I've seen from any team in this playoff run so far to solidify their win. Was the Thunder fouling Ant at the very end, making him shoot the free throws. He missed the second one on purpose, and Shai ends up with it and throws it out into the stands. And also, I have to point this out, kudos to the smartest fan in this entire building for catching that basketball, because everybody was wondering, why did the clock stop at 0.1 when the fan caught it at 0.5? 0.6, somewhere in that area.
And they still messed it up.
Yeah, they gave him 0.4. But that is the smartest thing you could do as a fan. And I'm going to tell you why. That ball becomes dead the minute it stops bouncing. So by that fan catching that ball, you just gave your team what should have been, as Sparky said, another half a second to shoot a basket. And I'm going to tell you right now, for those of you who are saying, well, there's no way they could shoot a basket in 0.6 seconds. Yes, they can.
I watched Nick Van Exel do it a couple times.
Yes, they can. Actually, it takes 0.4, to be honest with you, is about the amount of time that it would take a fast shooter to let a ball go. If you're Ray Allen, it's actually 0.3.
Yep, that's what I thought it was. I watched Nick Van Exel do, I think it was 0.8.
Yeah.
Caught it and turned it around. And he did that multiple times with the Lakers. I remember those.
Yep.
But one guy that I'm just starting to really like is that Chet Holmgren dude.
See,
I mean, he is so like he does not look like an athletic player.
And I hate the way he has to play in order to be like
just
meaningful.
Takes over, dude.
He
and
does.
Like, wow, this little guy is doing this.
I mean, well, little.
I mean,
7-footer, but
he needs
Chet
some milk.
is a stud. Yeah, no, he's definitely needs some meat on the bone. But I mean, Chet is a stud. He's from Minnesota, which is why I think that he's been balling out in Minnesota. Obviously, it's a homecoming thing for him. I am still, I don't know. For me, jury's out still on Chet, only because you have these games where he drops 20, maybe close to 30, and then like 2 or 3 rebounds. As a big man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just traditional that way. But if you're a big man and you get 2 or 3 rebounds in a game, I got questions.
I mean, with SGA scoring 40, Chet doing 21,
and Jalen hitting every 3 that he possibly could late in this
34.
game.
I mean, geez. I mean, those 3 scored 95 points. And, you know, they locked up that game. I was expecting Minnesota to come out a little hungrier.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with Ant and Brandel, like, where are they?
Well, okay. In this game, for sure, Randall has been absolutely non-existent in the last couple games. Ant at least was there last game.
I mean, even in the first half,
yeah,
he was gone.
That is kind of why, if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, or at least you're hoping they make the championship, that is the one little glimpse of light I think that you can take out of this game. And I know most of you are looking at or listening to your radio right now, looking like a baby bird saying, well, what do you mean? Hear me out on this.
Baby bird.
You lost this game by 2. And your star player and your second best player had awful games. I've said this a couple of times in the series. I know inconsistency kills, but if you could figure it out to get everybody on the same page, man, you could get a blowout win almost every single time from Minnesota, just like in game 3.
Yep.
Genuinely.
And I'm going to go with Canty, because Canty is pretty much explaining this morning that they need a key second player.
If you're Minnesota, this is a glimpse into what is a glaring weakness on your team, which is a reliable co-star opposite of Anthony Edwards, because this is the second game in which Julius Randle, all NBA caliber player, has pulled the no-show.
Right.
And so I think this is a moment of introspection for the Timberwolves. Back-to-back conference championship games. Edwards is taking this team as far as it can go when you think about the current composition.
And after the first game where Randall was on fire, I haven't seen him since.
No, absolutely. Well, really since last series. I mean, Randall was all over the place last series, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen when they exited their series early and had to wait for the Thunder a little bit, and you throw off the rhythm of some of your players. Saying that he isn't a reliable second player, though, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think Julius Randle is a stud. You look at what he's having to deal with I shouldn't say by himself, but at least offensively by himself, because Rudy Gobert is not an offensive stud. Like, he's not somebody you can really trust to help you out underneath when you need it on offense. Julius just needs to figure out how to get around guys like Jalen Williams, who is a fantastic defender. Let's not take that out of account. Let's not forget that Williams was just named into the second all defensive team in the NBA last week. Could have been first team. And then you got Lou Dort as well, who's also locking down. So realistically, I think this is just a testament to what the Thunder can do on defense.
That's what I was just going to say.
But
OKC's defense has really stepped up.
Absolutely.
And this was Ant post game, just talking about him and Randall's struggles.
I don't look at it like I struggled or he struggled. They had a good game plan, making us get off the ball, especially for me, man. They was super in the gaps. I made the right play all night, so I don't really look at it like I struggled. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled, so that might be how you guys look at it. But, yeah, I didn't struggle at all. I made the right play.
Yeah, that was the struggle.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I feel like that is arguably the reason for the struggle, is you're the star player, and much like the other day when I believe he only had, 14 shots or something like that and 18 points. The same thing happened here. You went 5 for 13. You're the star player of the team, bud. You went 1 for 7 from 3.
And these are the conference finals.
Yeah, and I realize that, yes, your mindset may be different than everybody else's, but as the star player of your team, they need you to pull off a game like, well, Shea, who went 13 for 30. Like, when you are the star player of a team, I don't want you taking less than 20 shots a game. I don't care if it's a good game, bad game, if you're in foul trouble, if you miss the entire third quarter. I don't care. You're putting up 20 to 30 shots a game, kid. And if you don't do that, you put your team in a very bad spot to lose the game. The only team that really can say they don't need to do that is the Indiana Pacers, because they have shown on a consistent basis that it doesn't matter who has the ball. They're all going to score at least 10 points. That's how they roll. But in other ways, on other teams, that's not the case. When you have teams like Minnesota who desperately need you, and really the NBA desperately needs you to have this game finally and step up as the new face of the league, because that's where everybody wants you to go, you have to take more than 13 shots. That's ridiculous. I mean, McDaniels took 15. Alexander Walker off the bench took 15, who is the cousin of Shea Gilgeous
Yeah,
Alexander.
they mention that every other play.
I mean, yeah, I had to point that out since we hadn't pointed it out on our show yet.
I know, but I mean, I was really, just as a basketball fan, I was hoping they would even up the series. But OKC has shown what we didn't think we were going to see in this playoff.
Absolutely. And honestly, if you look at the way the bench handled the game for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they should have won this game.
Yep.
If I am Alexander Walker and DiVincenzo, I am livid. They both dropped 20 points off the bench, and you still lost by 2. Like, oy.
It's these series. I mean, this year, just to point out, I mean, this year, I was watching the game. They were down like 8 or 9. And I'm like, should I change it? I'm like, no.
Never change
never
it. Not in this.
Not in
this
the
year.
NBA playoffs we're watching.
Not this year.
So I had to stay up a bit later than I was expecting.
64 points from the Minnesota Timberwolves bench.
It was insane.
64, and they lost.
That is a close one, though.
Ridiculous.
I was glad it was at least close, but I think the Wolves are done.
It's hard for me to say you're wrong. It really is. Going down 3-1 right now, you're headed back to Oklahoma. It's really hard for me to say that the Thunder are going to lose this series. I would like to say the Minnesota Timberwolves make something happen.
They had to pull those games at home.
They did, and they got one, but we all knew they were going to get the game 3. We all knew they were going to come out and pop him in the mouth in game 3.
That blowout I was like, thank you. I can go on with my weekend now.
But see, watching that game last night, I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, here we go. When is it going to happen? When's the switch going to turn for Ant? When are we going to see that shot that everybody's like, oh my God, there he is. That's the guy. And we haven't seen it yet. And honestly, I was listening to the Brilliant Idiots podcast over the weekend too, which is fantastic. If you don't listen to it, it's Charlamagne the God and Andrew Schultz. And they brought this up too, that the new face of the NBA most likely will be Anthony Edwards, because America will not allow a European basketball player to be the face of the NBA.
It should be SGA.
Yeah, it should be SGA. That's probably the closest you're going to get because he's Canadian. But honestly, they bring up a very good point that he just hasn't had that moment yet. Ant hasn't had that moment yet where he can be seen as the Michael-esque player that Stephen A. Smith and a lot of these guys like to, mirror him as. And that's going to kill him. And not to mention all the stuff off the court, the several baby mamas, the several babies, the drama that he's in all the time. Much like John Morant, it's like, do you really think this guy can handle that kind of pressure? So I'm starting to now, my thoughts at least are starting to wonder, can this guy be the face of the league anymore?
I mean, if they pull out a game 5 and 6, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening.
Unless if he pulls off a comeback from this, I could see them making an argument. But now with him being bounced out again, and this time even more embarrassingly to the Oklahoma City Thunder rather than the Mavericks team you got bounced out to last year and at least put up a fight against, now you wonder, does the team have what it takes? Does Ant have what it takes? And is anybody deep enough to really keep up with the Thunder?
And what's your opinion? I mean, if you think the Wolves are done, or do you think the Wolves have a chance to come back? After this break, we'll get into which I think is the better series, the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and Pacers, which I believe this is the only one we disagree on. But what do you guys think? Text in 842-2000. Are both series? Are we going to look at, OKC and the Pacers for our finals this year? Text in 842-2000. We are the early bird special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Bananas?
But the word is always, do you like bananas?
That's all I hear is, do you like bananas? I don't know. Man, my years of listening to metal music haven't exactly helped me figure that out at all.
Well, growing up sleeping by big ass speakers, that's
The
why I
wall of sound.
have the
Everyone knows what I'm
headphones
talking about.
pumped up in my ears. But
Shout out to the wall of sound too. If you follow that on Instagram, I love that guy. It's such a cool concept too. He has an entire like wall literally of massive old speakers that he has hooked up, and it's just he blares any music off of it. It's honestly really cool. Like it's one of those things that you only think you'd ever see in a cartoon. He actually made it real. So
that sounds like my buddy Tom Maxwell. He's got the best setup I've ever seen it at home. And it's not as much the speakers, but it's like records. And he's got like 4 different
Right.
record players. And it's just like
it's more just about like
a man cave.
yeah, like how you actually present it than what you have. And that's kind of how I feel about this guy too. It's just, don't get me wrong, these are all old and beat up speakers and they're ugly looking. But the fact that he has them all arranged that way and stuff like that, if you've ever watched SpongeBob, you millennials,
You would know.
the party record, you know, the party house or the house party with the jellyfish, it's essentially what he's got.
Dude, and you brought up cartoons, old cartoons. And I will say over the weekend, I recently found out that the Rugrats were only the girl's dream. It wasn't real.
Oh, that theory's been
And I'm
a
like,
thing
what?
for years. Well, there's a whole bunch of theories we can get into on that one. But again, you're
I was
talking to a
like,
millennial
what?
that's dived many, many times down these rabbit holes
But
of
they
his
made-
old cartoons.
They made a good point. I was like, really?
Well, like there's that. There's the one that it's all of the babies are actually like
She
ghosts.
didn't know if it was a boy
Yeah.
or girl, so they were twins.
Exactly. Like there's that theory. If you like Etta and Eddie, there's a theory that all of the kids are actually dead and that's purgatory.
Whoa.
And they're all from different timelines,
Really?
like time zones. Yeah. Or not time zones, I'm sorry, but like instances in time. Like there's a whole bunch of crazy things that we can get into. But
Well,
we
speaking
don't
of
have
crazy
nearly
stuff,
enough.
the new Pee Wee documentary is out as well. I didn't get time this weekend. I had running around
See,
errands, but
You and
I'm
Ali
scared.
Saldana are the only two people that I know that
Oh,
are
man.
the like aficionados of Pee Wee.
I
So
grew
you're gonna
up-
have to educate me.
I grew up Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and
That man has
his
always
show.
creeped me out. I'm
I
sorry.
love me some Pee Wee Herman,
Pee-wee's just-
man.
ugh.
But back to the
I can't hang out
NBA.
with Pee-wee.
Pacers
Yes.
and Knicks, which I'm going to say it right now. I think the Knicks even up the series tonight, and we do a best of 3. I hope.
I don't know, man. Like again, I liked what I saw from the Knicks in Game 3. I liked how we saw the resurgence of essentially the team we saw against Boston. Like their backs were against the wall. They came back from 20 down again, and you know this time behind Karl Anthony Towns.
Which I have to say, that's the guy I thought he was going to pull a Randall and not show
Mhm.
up, but he's been a major part of this series.
First 3 quarters, it looked like he was going to have that kind of a game,
Yep.
right? 4 points going into the fourth quarter, and what does he do? He drops 20 in the fourth and helps them win the entire dang thing.
And his movements, man, he is so slow. I
He
always think
is-
he's traveling,
Well,
but I have to watch the tape. I'm like, no, he's not.
if we're gonna get
He's
on,
got some big steps, but
if we're gonna get honest, I mean, you could probably call traveling as much as you do in the WNBA on Angel Reese, which is a lot.
yes.
But
But this is a crucial game, man.
yes, this is a huge game, obviously. And as I told you before the show, Sparky, if this ends up being just like the Boston series and we see both teams snag games at the other opponent's home, and that's how we're going to start this, like, I don't know. I've said it once, but I'll say it again. This has got to be the most interesting playoff run for the NBA I've seen in at least a decade.
Well, the Knicks
Like-
have been showing up when they need to. I was frustrated just rooting on the Knicks, which it's already
It's hard
a
to do.
sin.
Yeah.
But Brunson, man, he has not been the Brunson I was expecting in this series, and Cat stepped up. But the big question has always been around Cat is, can you win with him?
Yeah. No, that's a big question. I mean, it's why Minnesota moved on from him. They didn't believe they could, and they moved on to Julius Randle, who, again, we've
Doing the same.
yeah, jury's still out on both of these guys, in my opinion, because we haven't seen it consistently. Although I have said on this show many a time that in order for the Knicks to be successful, they need to funnel at least half of the offense through Karl Anthony Towns, which seems to me like they tried to do in this game at least. But I agree with you that really it really depends on if he can become consistent to
That's the
see
problem.
if he's going to be if you're going to be able to win with him.
And if you watch the game 3, you know, at halftime when they were down like 15-16,
Yep.
you know, Shaq and Barkley were like, it's over. It's over.
Well, yeah, because when you are so used to watching a guy like Cat not produce as a big man like he should, you would assume that this is just going to go the same route as it always does. But again, like we said, and honestly, like we should all just start believing this entire playoff run has proven one thing. It's that, especially on the East Coast, there are comebacks aplenty.
Oh, yeah. It's
They're always
unpredictable.
going to happen. And again, down 16, they just bolstered themselves back. And I think Carl at least made a statement in a way to say, hey, I am good enough to win with.
Well, this is what Jay Williams said on that topic.
For this performance, probably the biggest performance in his New York Knicks career to occur in a game 7-like scenario. I mean, if they don't get this game, this series is done. Finito, it's over. For him to have this type of performance on Dominican's Mother's Day and then dedicate that performance to his mother, it literally gave me chills. I think we saw the best version of Cat in the fourth quarter. Now, this needs to be repeated. But the Karl Anthony Towns we saw in the fourth quarter with Jalen Brunson on the bench, that's the Karl Anthony Towns that can play for a world championship team if he can continue to play this way.
He absolutely can. And that's the whole point, right? That's what you want out of him, is somebody who can really just take the reins when Brunson's either in foul trouble, which Karl was also in foul trouble. He had 5 too, but you need these guys to step up. And honestly, I think it's interesting that Karl is the one that gets a lot of the love, when a lot of the hustle plays and stuff like that make this happen is guys like Josh Hart and OG Anunoby.
Those big rebounds,
absolutely,
second chance points. That's what kept him in.
But that's why I keep saying it bugs me watching guys like him and like Chet Holmgren, because you guys are 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it should be coming to you anyway.
Right. Like Rudy Gobert had multiple instances last night where rebounds just bounced in front of him because he was guarding a guard at the time. And it's like, I don't care if you're guarding somebody out on the other side of the court. Grab that dang ball. Like, you are the big man. Your job is to grab the ball when it comes off of the rim. That is literally your number one job. I do not understand why 7-footers in the NBA today refuse to go for rebounds or just sit there and say, someone else will get it.
And Brunson's fouls are just frustrating.
Yeah.
A lot of it are just stupid penalty or stupid fouls.
And tell me if I'm wrong on this, but does it kind of give you the thought process that Tyrese might be in his head and Nembhard and all these guards might be in his head a little bit?
I can see it,
because they're frustration fouls. If you play basketball, you know how some of these fouls can go. And
they're attacking him.
Yeah, they're attacking him and he can't stop it. And he's doing everything he can, including grabbing their jersey, grabbing their arm, quick little slaps at the ball. It's all frustration fouls. So that, to me, at least, I know you're still dropping 30 on these guys, so I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but at least when it comes to foul trouble.
What is negative? Because when it goes into where Coach Tibbs has to go with plan B and C,
True.
Because his key player is sitting on the bench for the first 9-10 minutes of the fourth quarter. I mean, that's not what you're drawing up on the board. You need that guy on the court, but luckily Cat stepped in and hopefully he could stay out of foul trouble and they could take it away. But 2 things I wanted to bounce off you on this series and on this game tonight. One is Aaron Nesmith's game time decision, if he'll play tonight, which will be a key point if he can't play tonight.
Naismith has become a major key for the Pacers, including in the 3-point game. So I would expect him to at least try to play, but as we've seen with a lot of other people, like if you're not a star player and you're playing hurt, it's going to be really difficult for you to really produce like you have been. You know what I mean? Like it takes a special player to play hurt and still drop 20 to 30 points. I don't know if Naismith is that player.
He's just core.
Yeah.
He's key when they need points. And Halliburton has been running the team.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been the high scoring guy
he never is.
Yeah, but I never watched a lot of Pacers games because I live in California and not a lot of them are on TV.
Oh,
so
they're not even on TV in Indiana, so
I wouldn't doubt it. But the other thing I was going to bring up is Halliburton's dad. After he got into it with Giannis in a couple of series
pretty
ago,
much banned from showing up to any other game until further notice.
Well, he's missed 8 home games now, and he's been cleared. He will not be courtside. He'll be in a suite.
Smart.
And I believe game 4 tonight is in New York, correct?
Yeah. Yes. No, I'm sorry. No, game 4 is in Indiana.
So he'll be at the game
tonight
at the suite. I mean, I don't think it's a big difference, except maybe some fire against Halliburton. But it's just like I think this is the key game. The Knicks have to win.
Oh, yeah, no, because the Knicks had to win in game 3. You go down 3-0, it's over. It's done. They probably would have got – I mean, you were texting me earlier in the game saying they need to wake up, but they're going to get swept. And honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself. And what did they do? They woke up and they averted a 3-0 start. But as of right now, if you're a Pacer fan, I think that you're sitting in a pretty good seat. I think you guys, much like the Oklahoma City Thunder, are going to at least answer a lot of the problems that you had late in last game. And if you're a Pacer, or at least play for the Pacers, just get back to what won you games. Score over 120 points. Honestly, that's literally all they have to do is score over 120 points, and magically they win every single game. They're, I think, 32-2 or something like that when they score over 120. If you can just continue to keep that offensive momentum going and keep the production happening, you're going to run these guys out of the gym eventually. They can't beat you 3 out of the 4 times.
And before we get away from the NBA and go into the WNBA and some news out of college basketball is, the home court, which, back in the day, home court advantage meant something. And I don't know if it's just this year's playoffs or if this is something that's happened over the last few years, but it seems like the home court advantage doesn't really come to a key factor in these series.
Yeah.
And I pulled this clip from Udonis Haslem talking about why he thinks the home court advantage doesn't really matter.
I think you got young teams, and I think automatically think that when you go home, it's going to go right. Automatically think when you go home, the role players are going to go better. The fans are going to get us involved. We're going to come out with the energy. We're going to have the advantage. I don't think it's like that. You don't automatically have the advantage. And the other team that is coming out on the road are more focused. They're more locked in because when you're on the road, teams come together more as opposed to when they're home. When you're home, you got your family, you got your kids. When you're on the road, it's us against the world. It's just your 15 guys, your coaching staff, and other guys that are around the team. And you come together more on the road. So I think the road team has a different mindset as the home team, and the home team just take their foot off the gas just a little bit. And that's the advantage that the road team has.
Honestly, I think I can agree with him on that last part. I think that it's more about the home team just taking their foot off the gas and kind of just assuming they're going to walk away with a win at home. You know what I mean? Rather than fighting for it. And I think you also have to take into account as well that a lot of these teams travel very well in terms of their fan bases. And it's not necessary in order to win a series to actually have home court advantage anymore. I think we've seen that a couple of times in the last couple of years that some places, your Madison Square Gardens, your Staples Centers, I'm forever going to call it Staples Center for those of you who are texting and saying, why does it still call it that? Staples Center. I'm sorry. It's always going to be Staples Center to me. I know it's Crypto Arena. I get it, but it's Staples Center. Anyways, those big places in basketball, I think it's harder to win regardless. But I don't think I think it's more about the home team taking their foot off the gas and just assuming, we're probably going to win at home because it's basketball. We always win at home.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. And I think it's a very good point that he brought up as well, that a lot of these away teams are coming in locked in. They're coming in just ready, us against the world kind of a thing. And they're ready to ruin everybody else's playoff hopes. So I think you just got a really good set of teams this year that played each other very well. And honestly, the seeding part of it is really what stood out to me, is that outside of the first rounds, 1v8 seeds, everybody else was pretty much a dogfight. So it really didn't matter where they were. I mean, it doesn't matter for tonight's game, whether they're in the Garden or whether they're in Indiana.
Just for his Halliburton's dad.
That's the only reason we needed to know that. These games are so close and so good that it really does not matter anymore, in my opinion.
Well, if you want to catch game 4 of the Knicks and Pacers and you're at work and you can't watch it, you can listen to it right here live. Coverage begins at 4:30 p.m. Tip-off is at 5. But we'll get into the WNBA and some news out of college basketball right after this break. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back to the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky.
If you're not on social media, we did break some news over the holiday weekend.
Yes, we did.
We'll have Jacob Fatu from the WWE U.S. Champion on the show tomorrow, joining us 7:30 in the morning, ahead of next Friday's SmackDown as they come to town finally.
First of many special guests that we'll be announcing in the next week. So you're going to want to go follow us on social media to find out who's going to be on the show, because we got a couple good ones in the line or in the weights here. We're hoping to talk to a couple Bakersfield athletes too, a couple well-known Bakersfield athletes.
And their kid.
Yeah, and their kid.
But back into some other basketball news. Caitlin Clark went down and is looking that she might be out a couple weeks.
I'm reading is 2 at the minimum. So, I mean, it's a left quad strain. This could go as long as, I think about a month, I would say. But this is basketball, people. I know everyone's freaking out because it's Caitlin. Calm down. It's basketball.
Yeah,
She's going to be fine.
Time, but
yeah, as long as it's not a torn ACL or something super serious, we're going to be fine. That's what I thought was funny about everybody. I mean, anytime you're talking anything WNBA, it's usually Caitlin Clark related. However, I have a story that's actually not Caitlin Clark related. Yay. Cameron Brink, last year rookie stud for the LA Sparks. I'm not sure if she's actually playing still right now. I think she's still dealing with the injury she had from last year. But she came out and said, or had some comments about the league's expansion. Now, for those of you who don't know, the WNBA has been expanding. They're trying to gain more teams in the league. They've thrown in the Golden State Valkyrie, which is the new team for this year. I believe Toronto will be getting a team next year. And a lot of these teams obviously means new players will be coming to those teams and just expanding the league as a whole, hopefully more money. Cameron, though, believes that they should probably focus more on expanding the roster sizes rather than expanding the amount of teams. Right now, the WNBA sits at about 12 players maximum per team. The NBA is at 15. So if you expanded that to a 15-player system for the WNBA, personally, I think you'd probably be better off that way, because I think a lot of the problem with the WNBA is you need more bodies within these teams.
Just depth.
Yeah, for depth purposes. Exactly. And honestly, it's not a bad idea to really expand it to 15. I understand that obviously that means more money for the players and stuff like that, and more contracts that are going to have to be paid. But if you're doing that for expansion teams, why not just say, okay, instead of adding one more team of 12, we can now allow everybody in the league to add one more player and you go up to 13. You don't have to go immediately up to 15, but what do you think? Like, maybe should the league go up to 13 and maybe move up one a year until they can sustain a 15-man roster?
Oh, definitely. Instead of trying to expand so many different teams, probably a better depth for the teams they have would be more entertaining, one, and more opportunity, because there's always going to be those superstars that we never knew were superstars until they finally got on the court. So, I mean, they're looking at, okay, well, maybe we skip that and add a couple teams and hopefully add, more games or more, viewers, people going to the games. Cause that's probably where the money is it's not TV.
No,
it's
or at least not yet.
Selling the seats.
And at this point, I don't know. For me, I kind of see Cameron's point, because why are we expanding to more teams when we haven't even created a franchise within the dozen teams we have right now? Like, the closest thing to a franchise, I would say, in the WNBA would probably be the Aces or the Sparks. And neither of them are even that coveted. So I think what you need to do is focus more on building the teams that are already there and making them stronger in terms of legacy, stronger in terms of just allure to the people who want to watch the WNBA, and, pull in more viewers that way. Then you can focus on maybe throwing a team into different cities. Maybe Memphis gets one, or, wherever else you want to go, San Antonio, it just, whichever, or actually I think San Antonio might already have a team. Regardless, that, you get my point, though. Instead of expanding the team, I think we should focus on
rosters.
Well, expanding rosters and expanding the legacy of the teams you already have. I think that's a better idea.
And news out of college basketball: Houston guard Milos Uzan is withdrawing his name from the NBA draft to return to Houston Now, Coach Sampson said, this is a strong team already,
Yeah.
and having him back is only going to help. They're already getting back. What's his name? Emmanuel Sharp.
Yep.
The second leading scorer of the team, Tugler, who was the defensive player of the year in the Big 12, and then they're already got 3 top 25 kids that were standouts that are already signed to
Mhm.
Houston. So I mean, I didn't know that they could actually withdraw once the lottery had already happened. I thought
Mhm.
once the lottery was in, but actually the NCAA deadline for players to withdraw is tomorrow at
Yep.
11:59. So
It makes sense because you have to at least let the players see the field in which that is going to be drafting them. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's the draft, so you never know who's going to take you at what time. But at this point, I think it was just I think this was more of a move for Uzon to say, you know what, we could really go. I could go back to Houston, wait one more year, and really help my team solidify something like great here for the Oregon or for the program, and continue what Houston has been able to do in creating a very strong Cougars basketball program down there on the men and women's side. So it's going to be interesting to see them come back and see how far they can go into the tournament again next year. This guy coming back, though, is just going to benefit them. I mean, it really is. And
they're already projected to be the team number one.
well, I
in
mean,
the
they are
rankings
almost
already.
every year because of the competition that they play every year. And honestly, their consistency at the top, much like UConn and a lot of these other programs, Houston is really starting to become one of those consistent monsters in the tournament every single year, no matter who they have to play to get there. So,
well, we'll take this break. Usually we'll have KG at the top of the hour, but with the addition of Jacob Fatu joining us tomorrow, we moved KG to tomorrow, but we'll talk to him for a couple minutes right after this break on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. We're testing something out here. So for those of you who have been following us on social media, you know that we will be having Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu on the show tomorrow at 7:30. We are hoping to have him in video. So we are testing that at the moment with our boy 24KG, who usually comes on here in a couple of minutes. He's going to get a 15-minute segment with us today. We're going to just chop this in half and do 15 minutes with him tomorrow as well, right after the Jacob Fatu interview. But my friend, do you hear us? Are we good to go?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Fantastic.
1, 2.
Yes.
Hey, first of all, on these Islands of Relevancy tour that you guys got me on, looking for the Samoan werewolf, I came across something very interesting.
Is that right?
Yes, indeed. They actually get the early bird special out here on these islands, man. The Wi-Fi is great. It's great.
Fantastic.
It's great.
There you go. And he is out on remote for us. He will be in studio with us tomorrow during the interview. However, I mean, I think we're all just excited just to talk to the man and obviously talk about WWE Friday Night SmackDown coming right here to Bakersfield the day before Money in the Bank is in LA. However, let's shelf that, obviously, because we're going to have plenty of time. If any of you have a text message and a question for Jacob, feel free to text it in 661-842-2000. We can figure all that out tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a chance to throw one question or two out at him. We have a chance, my friend, while we're talking to you, we might as well talk about what happened on Raw last night.
Indeed.
And arguably, we saw the beginning of the Judgment Day finally falling apart.
I mean, we really haven't talked to him since Saturday night's main event as well.
That too. So,
well, can we just start off? Yeah,
let's start with Saturday night's main event.
Go
How
right
did you
ahead.
feel about the PLE?
Okay.
I think a lot of people felt that way, Sparky. I was falling asleep during all the commercials.
Yes,
in all seriousness, I think we do have a problem with over advertisement that a lot of people are complaining about with the product. But overall, let's get nonetheless to some of the match sequences that we've seen. A lot of people felt like some were too short. Some people didn't feel like they had enough. Others kind of felt like it was phoned in, but there are certain matches that stood out. One of those, to myself, honestly, was R-Truth and John Cena for a number of reasons. But we could wrap it up to be short, to be quick, to be frank about it. I think some people were underwhelmed, slightly.
Well, I mean, as I said last Tuesday, it was John versus John's greatest hits. So we knew that was coming.
Childhood hero.
I know I told you off camera, Kimball, when we were talking about this day of the event, it seemed to me like it was just the order of the matches were wrong. I feel like we should have started with R-Truth and John and had the entire PLE be kind of a background for Cody coming back and just chasing John down throughout this entire event.
Definitely.
Like, it's just him. You see frequent cuts to the back of Cody just tearing things apart, trying to figure out, okay, where the heck did John go? And then you lead up to the big announcement at the end, which is the announcement of the tag match, which is going to be Cody and Jay against Logan Paul and John Cena. This is going to be an interesting match, in my opinion, because you get the new age, like, god faces of the WWE with Jey Uso and Cody, the two guys that'll probably never turn heel again and are arguably the biggest fan favorites against two of the most hated men on the planet when it comes to this organization or this entire thing. And the ruining of wrestling, as it were, because as John said, now his goal is to have the YouTuber Logan Paul win the championship off of Jay.
Now, I think John Cena has a point there when he's saying, I'm trying to really ruin wrestling. No one, and not to take anything away from Logan Paul's athleticism or what he brings to the game, it would be quite a shame for Logan Paul to be world champion right now when Jey Uso is just kicking off his run. A lot of things that we've seen, just to jump to Monday Night Raw in that aspect between him and Gunther that seem unresolved. And, you know, people asking, do we really want to see them for a fifth time? Should there be some type of, you know, build back towards that or abandon that whole rivalry entirely? So we're looking at a case where does the greater good of the product outweigh the expense of what they can get per match? Right now, WWE is thriving on all cylinders, being as the best. They love to tell you, hey, this is the most we've ever sold. This is one of the best gates that we've had. Our product is moving great. The merch is flying out the door.
But again, that's easy to say when everything that you're selling is about 200 to 300 times more than what you sold it 4 or 5 years ago.
That's the thing right now. That's the argument that a lot of people have. The product is doing great, but why is it starting to explode price-wise for everyday fans that, you see the signs, this financially ruined me. Is it a case where it's becoming that now? And also the rumors of WrestleMania having a temporary home in Las Vegas because of the accommodations the city can provide around these huge events.
No, I can agree with that. And honestly, well, we'll get into that tomorrow with the entire movement of WrestleMania 42 from New Orleans, which was announced a couple months ago, to now potentially being moved back to Vegas, and how that's making everybody feel. We'll shelf that for tomorrow. I have to get your thoughts on this, though, with the last 2 minutes we have with you, my friend. Obviously, last night on Raw, we saw essentially the beginning of this collapse of the Judgment Day and Finn Balor's plan to break up the entire thing. So I'm now seeing on the internet, though, that we're going to get a flip on Dom, and that Liv is actually going to flip this on Dominic and break up with him and all of that type of stuff, ruining him and potentially teaming up with Finn Balor at the end of this.
I could see it because now it's looking like one either Liv or Raquel, I think, is going to jump ship and go with Stephanie.
So do you think Roxanne Perez being thrown into this is
That's what I meant, Roxanne,
a lure to trick us into thinking Liv Morgan isn't part of this new Bullet Club? Because let's not forget, she has a close tie to Finn Balor and AJ Styles.
Honestly, we could just see Finn ousted from Judgment Day. I'm gonna go there with it. We also could, and also with that ousting, you guys could receive this early bird merch that we have available coming soon to those that are really dedicated to the show. We want to show you guys that we really appreciate you right there. But back to the lesson at hand. Finn has something to understand here. And if you can tell from his face, he's as giddy as a gossiping school whenever there is turmoil in the Judgment Day. So look forward to Finn splintering off and starting his own faction, either by default or by declaration.
That's what I'm saying. I think we're going to get the Bullet Club at some point. But
hopefully.
My friend, thank you for helping us out with this real quick.
This is exciting.
Tomorrow.
This is exciting. Definitely.
And once again, for everybody who is a WWE fan, we'll be talking to the U.S. champion tomorrow. The Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, will be here with us on the early bird special at 7:30. So do not miss that. Kimball, thank you, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll take a break real quick, pay some bills. You're listening to the on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield. And don't forget, go follow us on YouTube. Check out the video stream right now on the Early Bird Special. Welcome back to the Early Bird Special, Hour 2. Now, normally we would have our buddy Kimball here, but obviously, as we said earlier, we're having Jacob Fatu on the show tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, Pacific time. So check it out. We'll be right here live once again, 7 to 9, as we always are. And go check out the YouTube page. That's where we're going to be filming or doing this all via video as well. We're hoping that we get a confirmation back today that we'll have him in video. We will most likely have him, or we will for sure have him over the phone at the very least tomorrow, amongst others here coming in the next couple of days, which you, again, follow us on social media. That's how you're going to know, and you're going to be able to figure out who these special guests are that we have coming up, because there's a couple of them.
Yes.
And we're very excited to talk to each and every one of them. However, Sparky, since we got yelled at last week for not talking hockey, we'll talk hockey. I'm sorry. I don't know. Again, we're trying to not do you guys a disservice about talking about these things that we don't know a whole ton about. I love hockey. I am a big hockey fan. However, still to this day, and I'm a casual. Like if you sit me down next to my brother, who is an actual hockey player and hockey fan, he'll make me look dumb because he knows far more than I. But if you guys want us to talk hockey, we'll talk hockey.
Yeah, I'm the same way with golf. So
exactly. We'll talk about it. That's fine. Let's talk about the game that was last night. The Hurricanes finally breaking their ridiculously long 19-year streak in the Eastern Conference Finals with a 3-0 win over the Panthers, pulling this series to a 3-1 deficit. Now, again, I'm still riding with the Panthers. If you're watching this series at all, this game was an anomaly. You had a great defensive game from the Canes, but realistically speaking, I expect the Panthers to come out, maybe lose game 5. Let's not get crazy. The Canes might win game 5 at home and wrap this whole thing into a bow that makes it look a little bit better. But I think the Panthers win at least in 6, and we move on from all of this. And unfortunately for the Canes, you'll have to start again next season. I just think it's really cool that, we were hoping with this for the Detroit Pistons when they were in the playoffs, they finally break that home losing streak that they've had. And when you see teams do this and they finally break out of those ruts, I mean, your Cubs winning the World Series many years ago, it's only a good thing for the sport, in my opinion, because these looming streaks that these teams have can really seem like just hope busters for their fan bases. So in my personal opinion, I think this is a cool thing for the Hurricanes. If you're a Carolina fan, or at least if you've been waiting for this for 19 dang years, their last game their last win in the Eastern Conference Finals was 2006. I mean, you want to talk about a streak. 2 decades and you haven't won a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's incredible. I think it was 15 straight games they had lost. So this is something that just needed to be broken, in my personal opinion. I don't know. What say you, Spark?
it was a good win. I mean, they shut them out 3-0. I still think they're in trouble when it comes to the series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And even I was pumped because Sunday, the Oilers got a win, because I was starting to hope, okay, this series might get out of control.
The Oilers and Dallas series has been fun to watch because both of these teams are incredibly talented. And to be honest with you, the Dallas Stars, as much as we love talking about the Oilers and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and stuff like that and how great those guys are, the Dallas Stars really remind me of the Indiana or the Pacers, because they have a slew of guys who can score the puck at any point in time. And that's what really has brought their success to the forefront in this playoff run, is that true, you have your 2 main guys who have scored, I think, 7 of the 13 goals last series. But when you come into this series, especially that 6-0 or that 6-goal flurry in game 1, game 1. I believe it was game 1.
Yeah.
It is incredible to watch, especially with hockey, when you have a team like that where everybody can get in on the action. So it just makes it more enjoyable. And honestly, you can still say the Oilers have stepped up in their own right, because their goalie has absolutely been a stud. I think he stopped about 30 of the 38 shots on him. And I mean, they have held the Dallas Stars to scoreless in almost 100 minutes in 3 games. That's pretty dang impressive defensive hockey. So I still believe in the Oilers, but it has been, that series to me is way more entertaining than this Panthers and Canes series.
Well, they're up 2-1, and game 4 will be later today. We did get a text earlier in the show that said, "Good morning, guys. I'm going with the Stars tonight, and I will go with Burdick and the Pacers." And also wanted to throw out that NXT looks like a show tonight.
Honestly, it really does. And we don't get to talk about NXT very much. For those of you who don't know what NXT is kind of I guess if you look at it in the WWE sense of like pro sports, it's kind of college to the main roster's pros. It's their developmental league, but it can't really call it developmental anymore because there's a lot of other leagues that they have now that are more the developmental side of it all. But they really have grown this show into essentially a third main show that now lingers with other organizations like TNA. You're going to see a AAA, which is an all luchador promotion that has been recently bought by the WWE. They're going to have a merger, or I'm sorry, they're going to have a merging pay-per-view in the next upcoming weeks. They have been brewing some great stuff when it comes to professional wrestling lately. So it's really fun to see.
And some miscellaneous notes out of baseball. I had to throw it out because Ohtani crushed his 19th homer.
Yep.
Yesterday with the 7-2 win over the Guardians.
While also throwing for the first time from the mound over the weekend and reaching, I believe they said 95 on the gun. So that's pretty smart. That's pretty good.
I know he's also set to throw a bullpen session this Thursday as he rehabs from his elbow surgery, but
I still say, man,
don't do it.
No. Well, again, do it if you have to, but the more and more I think about it, the more you should really just boil this down to him being your closer. You are having such issues with Tanner Scott right now that you need to address them. I think Tanner is a much better setup guy or maybe even a late reliever. I think you need to switch Ohtani. You already have a list of starting pitchers. I know most of them are struggling right now or are injured, but you still have a good depth roster or rotation. I mean, I apologize. Why make him the closer? You could have the best closer in baseball, especially with his splitter. I mean, oh my God. And at this point right now, that's really what you would need him for, because you need somebody to come out of the pen and shut the door and actually lock in some of these wins for you. And who better to trust than arguably your best pitcher in Shohei Ohtani? That's just my personal opinion. But again,
I would leave him off the mound. But
I know a lot of Dodger fans that echo that sentiment too. They don't want him to pitch at all. And I don't blame you, to be honest with you. And I think that was what we kind of figured was going to happen after all of this. But he's too good of an athlete. And he's too good of an asset for you on the mound not to pitch him. It really does boil it down that way. And it's
with the money that they're paying him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you better be pitching and throwing and catching the ball and hitting home runs for us. It's like, that's what we pay you to do. So they're going to at least try to put him back in the pitching mound. I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, but you will see Shohei Ohtani pitch again.
Well, let us know what you think. Text in 661-842-2000. We'll take this early break because I want to get into some NFL, as some teams are starting their OTAs today and some players are missing their starting quarterback.
Can you say that he's missing if he hasn't signed it?
Is he though? It's a handshake.
I'm just
it's a handshake
saying.
deal. But we'll also talk. I want to hear what you think about this flag football superstar coming out talking about he doesn't think it's fair. He doesn't think it's fair that the NFL players have now taken over pretty much all flag football talk. And he wants to know, if they're going to get a chance to play. But we'll talk about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Thought I heard horns. Oh. Oh, I just realized that with the song. Unpopular opinion? Okay, parallel.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, again, Mama Said Knock You Out, fantastic. Love that song. Outside of that,
That whole All World album was
yeah,
legit.
I mean, Lover Lover can go,
You love her? He was a little bit creepy.
a little bit. I'm just go back to
Thinking about his
NCIS.
thinking about his girl working out. Wasn't even his girl, it was the homeless girl,
No,
but
yeah,
yeah, it
again.
was a bit creepy in the 80s as we have seen in recent news.
In the 80s? Did we
Yeah.
stop in the 80s?
Oh yeah. Or a lot
It
of
got
this stuff
creepy in
is
the
coming
90s
out of
too.
the 80s though. All this stuff coming out in the entertainment world or sports world or music world.
Yeah, true.
There was a lot of creepy stuff going on, but we won't get into that as the NFL is right around the corner.
The best time of the year.
Yep,
Ah,
where
football
everyone's
season.
undefeated.
I just love football season. I don't
lot-
care if my team is losing or not. I love football season. There is nothing like football season.
And we'll definitely be talking a lot of football when it comes around, as we usually do. But teams are starting their OTAs today.
Mhm.
A lot of them, which is usually the 6 or 7 workouts, and that's when they'll get their playbooks. And the Steelers still waiting.
Again, are we surprised though?
No,
Like again, as much as we hear this is a handshake deal with Aaron Rodgers or whatever, I don't think Aaron's gonna play.
Really?
I either that or we're gonna get essentially what we got last time, which is right at the end of OTAs during mandatory. He's like, all right, I'll sign. And then he goes and he looks like garbage during all of this in the preseason, and then we get
and we'll see the
subpar
same.
Rodgers.
We'll see the same one long touchdown to DK in camp, and they'll play the hell out of it.
Exactly. And that's about as far as we're going to get with the entire situation. But right now, you're sitting with Mason Rudolph as your starting quarterback.
Skylar Thompson.
And we know,
which, as a Dolphin fan, you don't want that guy on your final roster.
man, look, I've talked to multiple Pittsburgh Steelers fans since this entire move with the quarterback situation. And I've asked them each and every one of them, because they all look at me and say, oh, we love Mason. And I said, do you remember last time Mason was the starting quarterback for you? Do you remember what happened? I know Mason got hit in the head with a helmet, but did you get hit in the head with a helmet too? Because do we not did everybody forget that Mason wasn't a good starting quarterback?
No, he's a backup.
He's not.
best.
I'm not going to say he's awful, but he's not a good starting quarterback.
No.
You'd be better off with Mitch Trubisky, and that's saying something. So for every Pittsburgh Steelers fan that's listening to me right now, if you want to text in and call me a liar or do whatever, go for it.
No, my buddy Sammy, we've been going back and forth because he likes to take shots at my Dolphins, and I just easily just send him a picture of Aaron Rodgers.
There's
like, hey,
nobody in the league that has a worse quarterback situation right now than you.
no.
And I'm saying
maybe the Saints.
No. Because again, Saints at least have one guy that the jury's out. We don't know if Tyler Shuck's going to be good or bad. He could come out and be the next, he could be Russ. We don't know. But
Which Russ? I mean, the Steelers have Will Howard.
Fair. No, you know what? That's fair. I'll give you that, because Will Howard's also out in the open. And honestly, I would trust Will Howard before I would trust Tyler Shuck. So I guess that is a fair statement. However, it's a tale of two teams right now when it comes to the Saints and the Steelers. And if I'm a Steeler fan, I'm not happy.
No,
I am not happy.
And Schefter was on Unsportsmanlike this morning talking about just that.
I think they feel like Mason Rudolph can and would be good enough to start for the season. That's how they feel. But I do think that they would then inquire about Kirk Cousins and try to make a deal for Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh. I think that would make some sense. But they do like Mason Rudolph, and they're going to feel like they're not going to have another quarterback. But I would think that they'll explore a trade for Kirk Cousins if Aaron Rodgers decides to play, which, by the way, I think everybody thinks he will decide to play, and in Pittsburgh.
Again, fair. Honestly,
I was just going to bring it up because over the weekend, Aaron Rodgers is hitting his media hits and was out in Louisiana this weekend and was talking to, fans. And a young lady came out and said, is there any chance you would go to the Saints and help us? And he said, no. He said he's played in Louisiana a few times, and of his age, he doesn't want to live in Louisiana. He doesn't want to play for the Saints. And I mean,
man,
good for him.
It's not the spot for him. I'm sorry. I know Saints fans are desperately hoping somebody will come and save their season. You're going to have a bad season. It's going to happen. I'm not saying that in a sense of like, you guys suck. I'm saying like, eventually everybody has a bad year. Like, I know coming from a Falcons fan, it's probably, you're hearing this as, oh, of course you think we're going to have a bad season. You're going to have a bad season. It's going to happen to everybody eventually. Like, but at this point right now, if there's one team Aaron plays for, it's Pittsburgh. But I just don't know if he wants to play.
Yeah.
I genuinely starting to believe that he wants to retire.
I wouldn't expect anything. It's always going to be a circus when you bring up his name. And that's the way he does.
I think, well, see, I don't know if that's the way he does or if he's starting to even get tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, you can only take so much, even as a person, like you can only take so much of this stuff. And from what I've gathered from him, granted, yes, he does a lot of eccentric things that get him put in the limelight, especially being as good as he is. But he's not exactly going out there saying, look at me, look at me. They're just looking at him.
Yeah.
He's getting,
it goes with the name.
Yeah. And he's getting fed up with it. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, why not detach yourself from the whole thing?
I think if he wanted to, he would have a long time ago.
That's fair.
I think he enjoys it personally. And I watched the Brett Favre special finally over the weekend. I had one day to kick back and relax.
So good.
So I watched the Favre one. I watched the shooting guards one because I had a bunch of things on my list. I was like, man, I have no time to watch these. And the Favre one was a bit creepy. I didn't know most of those stories.
We can get into that too, because for those of you who don't know what Sparky's talking about, Netflix has this string of sports docuseries, documentaries
awesome.
that are fantastic.
Well done production.
This latest one that they dropped was on Brett Favre and everything that he did during his career, including, and I'm not saying as a player, I'm saying off the field, the scrutiny with the former Playboy girl that turned reporter.
I didn't know anything about her. I heard she went to a college football game.
Yep.
And
she's the cowboy girl or cowgirl.
She blew up
or whatever
as the cowboy girl.
I didn't know that part of the story.
I didn't know anything about her.
I knew that all I knew of her was that she was the sideline reporter for the Jets and that he thought she was hot and did a lot of creepy things. Yeah.
Never even met him.
But see, when we originally heard this story, we heard that there was something going on between the two of them. Yeah. And she was kind of thrown in as not a victim, but as a perpetrator of it. When you hear this story now, the way it's coming out and the way that it's actually being presented, because you have more proof behind it, Brett did something incredibly creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Brett sent his assistant to give her his number without her consent. And when she said no, he went and made a fake Facebook page claiming to be somebody on the team with gray hair and that wanted to meet her, and that he would be sending people to either pick her up or give her his number so they can get in contact.
And we're talking about a married man.
Yeah, and we're talking about a married man at the time. Like, this dude was an absolute, and that's the easy part of it.
That's just the tip of the story.
If you want to get into the money laundering part of all of this towards the end, God, is Brett Favre
colleges after he got his daughter's volleyball court donated, which we're talking about millionaire. And I mean, it goes back even to his first couple years in Green Bay. People that were talking that worked with the staff in Green Bay were saying he was a creep.
And honestly, dude, when I saw the text messages, it said essentially like, I don't care. I'm not even going to get in trouble for this, for the money laundering part of it all.
Once he got her number from somebody in the Jets staff, and then started blowing up her phone.
Well, now we're mixing the two stories, but
it was all creepy.
Yeah, no, the entire thing, like Brett, it just looks awful in this entire documentary, and honestly, he should, because everything he did was deplorable. But these series have been getting so good. The Shooting Guard series, for those of you who are curious, as well.
I didn't know anything about it.
It's fantastic. Oh, I remember this story, but it was the Gilbert Arenas story when he played for the Wizards, where he and a teammate that oh God, I'm forgetting the player's name. He was drafted by the Lakers and then traded to Washington, and they got into an altercation because Gilbert, who has a tendency to be a prankster, took something way too far.
Yeah, so over the years, athletes, musicians with those long flights, they do a lot of gambling, they play cards.
Yep.
And I guess he was asleep and somebody was fighting over a bet during a card game, and Gilbert went in and threw his 2 cents in when probably shouldn't have.
Yes.
And got into an altercation where the younger player was saying, he was telling him, that he would shoot him.
Yeah, essentially, both of them threatened each other's lives.
And no one knew, but Gilbert has been a long time gun collector.
Yep.
So, I mean, even a legal side, he was getting his guns in Arizona and flying with the team flight because they don't check the bags, or they didn't at the time.
Good old Arizona.
And Gilbert, said, okay. And he picked up some guns in Arizona, flew them back, and brought them in. And as a prankster, left the gun on the teammate's seat and in his locker room
with a note
on top of the gun. Here we go, big boy. If you think you're man enough to shoot me, do it. And it got into an altercation, which if it wasn't for Nick Young being a part of that documentary was awesome.
I mean, again, I love Nick Young.
Me too.
He's fantastic. But that entire series of just the conversation between Gilbert and the player and Nick Young, and the way each of them explain the story. Because Gilbert, when you're watching this series, Gilbert does not seem like he is more or has any like negative thing to say about either of them.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even see what he did as an issue.
No.
Like, this was a joke to him, genuinely. Like, he's talking about it. He's like, oh, yeah, it's just a prank.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think he really grasps how close he was to really getting popped.
Yep.
Like, and I want to say it was Ellington. I want to say that's the last name of the player. I might be wrong, though. But the guy was former, he ran in the streets and stuff like that. And it was not somebody to really be testing. Like, it really wasn't. But it's one of those situations. Crittenton, thank you. And it was just one of those situations where you don't do that. You don't really like exasperate this kind of a thing. But it was what Gilbert saw as a joke, and as the other side did not see as a joke. And unfortunately, it led to one of the NBA's biggest scandals when it came to like in locker room situations. Because when you bring multiple firearms into a locker room, that is an automatic threat. And this honestly pretty much ruined Gilbert's entire career. This really ended his career in terms of him being a star player and really coveted by anybody. Nobody wanted to be a part of Gilbert at all after this. And the Wizards very, very quickly severed ties with him and Crittenton and moved on from this entire situation.
Their team was just heating up.
Yeah, it was.
If it wasn't for that 50, 60 game suspension,
and
that
honestly,
ruined both of their careers.
This was the point, too, where they were fighting Cleveland in the playoffs almost every single year when LeBron was on the team, and they could have beat Cleveland.
I mean, because this was the Washington team was, desperate. It was right when Jordan left, and that was the big pickup was Arenas. And, dude, watching the other teammates that were on that team, they were all kind of sick of Gilbert. His pranksters, there was stuff that he was doing that was just childish, and they go into the whole stories. But if you like sports documentaries or the inside stories, that one, the Brett Favre one, and I know there's another one that I've got on my list, but if you haven't seen them, they're definitely worth a watch.
If you're a baseball fan, go watch the Inside the Clubhouse series that they follow the Boston Red Sox as well, because that was incredible. Like that's where
the Celtics one.
Yeah, the Celtics City. That's on HBO, but the Netflix series have been fantastic, and that's actually where you get Duran Duran talking about his battles with suicide thoughts and stuff like that. So it's actually really, really cool to see the background of what a lot of these guys have to deal with, especially in big market teams like Boston, because that comes with a lot of pressure that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like when we talk about death threats and stuff like that, going to guys like Hendrickson and stuff, you have to take into account the people who are your fans, because those are the ones who are writing you those letters. It's usually not a fan of a different team. It's usually the fan of your team, which is what makes it even more unsettling.
That's the word fanatic comes from.
Exactly.
But we'll take a break. We'll welcome in Stephanie and Samantha from Hey There Delilah, as they have an upcoming golf tournament to raise some money. And we'll hear from them right after this break. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. This is probably the only Plain White Tee song I know. You know what's funny? It's the only reason I went to that concert when they came to the fair the other, like 3 years ago. But
It's catchy.
it is very, very good.
I'll be
I know.
kidding.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they have plenty that none of us know. It doesn't matter because all we're here to talk about is Hey There, Delilah. For those of you who don't know, it is a nonprofit that helps families who have children who are dealing with cancer and all of that type of stuff. And here to talk about it is Stephanie Pierce, the author of Hey There, Delilah, which is a book, and the founder of one of the nonprofits. We are hoping to talk to Samantha as well as soon as she gets here. Obviously, she's running a little behind, which we're completely fine with. We can easily
It's
get
early.
her in. It's a little early. I know. We are understanding that not everybody gets up as early as us. So how are you though, Stephanie?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Now, okay, for those, explain to people who don't know what the nonprofit is.
So, we started a nonprofit to honor my best friend's daughter, Delilah Love. She passed away in July of last year from neuroblastoma, and I myself battled cancer too. 7 years ago, I was diagnosed when I was pregnant with my son, and it's just it's a way for us to provide financial support for cancer fighters. And so it's very much need-based. People reach out to us through our website, heytheredelilah.org, and they ask for assistance. We've done as little as groceries in a refrigerator to as much as flying in a mom from Puerto Rico because daughter was in hospice.
Fantastic. Oh, when
There
we have
she
our
is.
second guest, she finally made it. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Take your time. Not a big deal. We just got done talking about the organization and stuff like that. For those of you who don't know, our second guest is Samantha, who is here with us. Thank you for coming. Appreciate
We just
it.
got done with the yoga class and ran over here.
Well, see, and there you go. Everybody's got stuff to do in the morning. But
Yes.
she just talked about how the organization got started. I first and foremost have to say sorry about Delilah and all of that.
Thank you.
But explain how that entire situation was for you.
It was devastating. She was diagnosed at 4 years old, and we just fought. We went in hard and strong, and she fought for almost 6 years. And unfortunately, the treatment was just too strong. Chemo medicine is horrible for children,
Absolutely.
and there's no change when it comes to adult medicine. They just give it a little bit smaller dose because of their weight. So it eventually damaged her lungs so much that she couldn't breathe anymore, and her heart eventually stopped beating. And
That's terrible. I'm so sorry. But I mean, I got to meet your husband as well when we had you guys on on the Ralph Bailey show last week, and we talked about the golf tournament coming up. So let's talk about that. When's the day? Where are we going? How's this all going down?
The golf tournament is Monday, June 2nd at the Bakersfield Country Club. I just saw on the news that the weather is going to be fabulous, like
Fantastic.
in the 80s.
That's
Yes,
always
exciting.
a plus when you have a golf tournament. So how now donations and stuff like that are obviously being done. Are there still teams available?
There's room for about 4 more teams.
4 more.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
so
hoping
that's a
to
good
sell
bump.
this out today.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to lock these in.
Absolutely.
Especially this week. By the time I have them on Friday with MoneyWise, hopefully it's sold out.
That's the plan. How do people sign up though if they want to be on a team?
If they want to sign up, they can call us at 661-862-9389.
Okay.
We also have an Instagram page, Hey There Delilah Official. They can message us there, or our website, heytheredelilah.shop.
Fantastic. And then donations are taken anytime?
Absolutely.
donations can be done specifically on heytheredelilah.shop. You can sign up for a team, or you can purchase Hey There Delilah merch, and that also goes directly to the foundation that goes back to people battling cancer in our community.
And explain that further. What do you guys do? I know you said you can go as simply as groceries, and it's more complex as doctor's visit. What exactly does this do? Does it go to just people here in Kern County? Like, how does this actually get distributed?
Well, for the golf tournament, it will be all local residents that we're assisting. We have a list of about 10 cancer fighters right now who need our help.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
And these are all kids or?
No, kids and adults.
Okay. So this does go to everybody
Yes, it
who is
does.
dealing with cancer. So if you're like a parent, then obviously dealing with this, you are
Yes.
also somebody that can be attributed to this.
Yeah, that was one thing for us, that Steph also fought cancer. And when I came to her, I was like, I know that there wasn't a lot of help for adults, so let's help everybody, anybody with cancer.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic because I lost my grandmother to breast cancer years ago when I was younger. It completely fine. It's something that you kind of just
Mhm.
you live with, as you guys know.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is really cool. I enjoy seeing this type of thing because I know how expensive medical costs can be.
Mhm.
And honestly, like having organizations like this are pivotal for family members who just don't make that kind of money. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
not everybody can make thousands upon thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And honestly, that's really what it takes to fight this kind of disease.
And it does touch everyone. Cancer touches
Absolutely.
everyone.
Yeah. Our goal
Absolutely.
is to try to donate at least $1,000 to each family that we help. So that's the goal.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
amount. I mean, have you guys kind of reached that so far? Or?
We've been able to do that with pretty much every family that we've helped.
Mhm.
And that's just our goal, to be able to give them at least $1,000 to cover gas, a bill, anything. We feel like $1,000 is a good little amount that
Mhm.
can help in that situation.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well,
And then-
I did see my boy Ali Douglas over at Motor City Lexus is helping out.
Yeah,
That is
he
a
is.
great dude to help out.
Yes.
He's got the biggest heart in
Love
this
him.
town. And you know, I'm not a big golfer, but I know golf tournaments, this is the perfect time before it hits triple digits.
Mhm.
And did I hear something about a hole-in-one?
There is a hole-in-one. It's being presented by Lexus, and so it's $20,000, but it's a 50-50
Wow.
split with the foundation. Yeah.
20K.
And there are some
That's-
other fantastic raffle prizes. We have a full bedroom set that's being raffled off,
Electric golf cart,
an electric golf cart, a weekend getaway to Rosarito Beach,
a
and
Santa Maria grill.
a Santa Maria grill.
Can
Yeah,
I get thrown into the,
the
beach one just for
community
fun?
came out.
Come on
They did. They did.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We actually got a great donation last night from Steve Holloway Paint. They're going to
Another
do
great guy.
Yeah, they're
Steve
going to do
Holloway.
a resurface for a garage, 400 square feet. It's ours to raffle off.
We're
Fantastic.
gonna
So
have
it's the-
massage girls out on the green.
Yeah, a blackjack
Okay.
table. Like, we're making it a fun event.
Y'all are doing something
Yeah.
different with the
Right?
massage
That's what
tables.
everybody's
Okay.
saying.
That's
Yeah.
the way to do it.
Yeah, we
You're making
decided
us
to-
look bad. I mean, we do the honor flight one. We don't have massage tables.
We said we took the golf tournament template and we just made it our own.
Absolutely. That's
Mhm.
How you do it.
fantastic. Now, one more self-indulgent question, because I already brought up the book. Hey there,
Oh
Delilah.
my goodness.
Talk about it.
Hey there, Delilah.
What can where can people find it? What
uh,
type of book is it?
It's a children's book. It's available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. It's just a story about it's a real life, story.
Based on a true
Yeah,
story.
based on a true story with our kids.
Mhm.
And it's done really well. And now book two was supposed to be released on April 1st, but we paused it because this
The
golf
golf
tournament took all of our energy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so book two in the series, Delilah's Adventures, will be out real soon.
Fantastic. I'm
Mhm.
assuming if you buy those books, the proceeds go
All
to
the
Hey There,
proceeds,
Delilah.
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
Fantastic. And then
Mhm.
one more actually self-indulgent question, because it reminded me of the story that I heard. Now, obviously, for those of you who don't understand the parallel between the song and the name of the organization, the band Plain White Tees came down here and played Hey There, Delilah for your daughter. And
Yes.
was that at the hospital?
It
Yes.
was
or-
at the hospital, yeah, and it was during COVID, so we kind of had to sneak them in. I went downstairs and because they told me that she could only do it over Zoom, and I'm like, absolutely
No,
not.
no.
Yeah.
Not something like that. We got to do it
Absolutely
in
not.
person.
No,
Dude, that's the
so
best video. If you look it up on
50
YouTube.
million views.
You got
Wow.
to send that to
I've
us. so we
watched
I'll
can
send
share
it to you guys.
Yeah,
I'll send it to
Absolutely,
you
because
for
it
sure.
is one of the most heart-wrenching, heart-touching videos of all time.
Mhm.
And it made me, I mean, I was already a fan of the band, but as I said, when we started this series,
Right.
there's really only one song I knew from them,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But that one sold me. I was like, I love seeing people like that who are influential
Yes.
just give back to people just because they can. And it's
Yeah.
just really cool to see.
And he
You
was so down to earth. He came in with his guitar real quick and hid behind the curtain, then
Yeah.
came out and started playing for
Yeah.
Delilah.
And
That's
after
awesome.
after she passed, we saw them in concert
Like a week
A week
after.
after. And
Really?
yeah, and he closed the show with Hey There, Delilah, and he dedicated it to her in front of an entire audience in Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
it was
Wow,
beautiful.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Mm.
awesome.
Jeez, man. You're gonna make me tear up.
Right?
Right? I was
Yeah.
like-
Hey There, Delilah inaugural golf classic is scheduled for Monday, June 2nd, 9 a.m. at the Bakersfield Country Club. Get in there before it sells out, because 4 teams.
Yep.
I'm
4
thinking
teams
it'll be
left.
sold out by
Ah,
Friday.
so
You guys,
excited.
you guys take singles too, as well as
Yes,
pairings,
At
uh-huh.
right?
this point, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So even if it's just you, sign up. You never know. You could have a good time. Obviously, there's tons of prizes and stuff like
Yeah.
that you can get.
Mhm.
Shoot, I'm still thinking about the beach trip, my dang self. But hey,
Yes.
Well, any final messages for the families or listeners that you want to throw out before we go?
Like Delilah said, never give up. Never give up and just keep on pushing. We only got this one life to live. Let's make the very most of it.
Yes.
Amen. Well, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you for having
We'll see you
us.
later
Thank you.
this week, and we'll continue to pump it up right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special final segment of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope everybody enjoyed the Memorial Day weekend. We actually didn't shout that out. Hope everybody had a long weekend and enjoyed their long weekend, didn't have to work.
Not long enough.
Not long enough. Never long enough. But I got an extra day not to do anything, so I'm happy.
Nice. I got to go see Lilo and Stitch.
How was that?
Yeah, I liked it.
I mean, again, I hear a lot of internet hate. And I
That's what
don't
the
get
internet's
it.
for.
I don't get it. I mean, y'all hate on the weirdest things. I really don't get it, but
I
it is
enjoyed
what
it.
it is. I hear some people saying that. I love Lilo and Stitch. That was one of my favorite Disney movies, so I'm
See,
excited.
I didn't remember the animated one, so I had my
Really?
son break it down. Like, what are we signing up
I mean,
for?
I
But the
hear it's
theater
pretty
was
close.
packed.
Yeah, and that's all I keep hearing from. I mean, Rick Bentley, the entertainment guy for KGET 17, has said that. I mean, he came on the Ralph Bailey show last week and said that as well. It's just seems popular, so it's going to be a money grab for him. So I mean, they're already planning on the second one being released.
Oh yeah, there was a setup for it.
So it's going to be interesting. But I mean, I'm going to go see it regardless. It's Disney, so I'm a Disney kid. I really am. I am a sucker for anything with the mouse. So it is what it is.
Damn that mouse.
Damn that mouse stealing all my money.
So I wanted to throw out this before we left is Daryl Hausch Doucette wants a fair shot at Olympic flag football. I guess he's the superstar, I guess, in flag football, and he's the 5'7", 140-pound
vocal eye roll
that they came out last year saying that he could outperform Patrick Mahomes in flag football, and he made the media. But his word is, with flag football debuting in the 2028 Olympics, he hopes that non-NFL flag football players will get at least a fair chance to make Team USA.
Agree with that. 100% agree with that.
I think they maybe get one, maybe two.
I mean, it depends how big the roster is going to be, right? Like, I don't know exactly how many people you're allowing on the team, but I don't know. Again, I think he's right. I think that there are leagues out there where these players are playing flag football and should get an equal shot at it at the same time. Here's my argument, though. You already are. They're literally weeding through you guys right now. You have leagues that are playing tournaments right now to figure out who's good enough to be on the team. You're getting roster spots as we speak. The people who haven't been given roster spots are the NFL players. And everybody's talking about this as if it's going to happen this summer.
Yeah, we got time.
3 years from now, 4 years from now, Patrick might not want to play at that point.
And at that point, I was hoping, okay, well, Tyreek, if he plays, he won't be a Dolphin by then.
No, heck no. And most of you, honestly, most people are thinking of right now probably aren't going to be playing for the team they're playing for. And that's if they want to go.
Because there was players that came out that said they didn't want to play. They didn't want anything to do with it. And he said in that quote that he believes current flag players are good enough to win gold without NFL talent.
That is true.
Which
I said that on the show last week.
Maybe they just bring up one NFL player. That would be the best way to do it. But
maybe you just have Justin Jefferson be the guy because one major star from the NFL and a handful of maybes, and then just let it happen. Because again, this is happening, I think, the week before camp or the week of camp. So that's why a lot of these guys don't want to do it because they're missing out on training camp, which is weird to hear when you've heard the last couple of years. All we've heard from the media is some of these guys don't even want to go to training camp. Most of these guys, from what I understand, want to be at training camp because they want to win a Super Bowl. But this is just one of those situations where I think that this guy is overblowing the entire thing. Let's not act as if the NFL is shutting you guys out of an opportunity here. We're just saying that if we're going to throw the best of the best when it comes to football, I'm going to go to the NFL before I go to flag.
Yeah.
And
I think even if they broke it down to one player on offense, one player on defense, because we did talk last week, it was 5-on-5 or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know.
No linemen.
I'm not sure if that's the tournaments that are happening right now to decide who are the flag football players that'll be representing the United States, or if that's literally how the format is going to be. Yeah, that I'm still not 100% sure.
Well, that was what I heard over the weekend, and I know we didn't touch this, but Indy 500, I caught the last 50, 60 laps.
I'd be lying to you if I said I caught any of it.
I caught it, but I mean, there was a lot of wrecks.
I read about it.
And I did catch at the end that whoever was the runner-up, the second place guy, got popped.
Yeah, I was reading that as well. Marcus Erickson, I believe, is how you say his name. Him and his entire team actually were sent down because I guess there was a unapproved modification to their energy management systems from what I read. I don't know exactly what that means or how that helps the car or just, doesn't help the car. But at this point, it's a bad sign for guys because like I just said, I wasn't even paying attention to it that much, but they broke records or at least they were close to breaking records in terms of viewership. I mean, they were at 7.05 million viewers approximately throughout the entire thing. I think they said they maxed out at about an 8.6, which is incredible. But
there was 2 illegal cars.
Okay, so I read 2 or 3.
But they all came down from the same team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they were all in the same group, which means that whoever the engineer is for this group had an idea and they would tinkered with it, hoping that no one would get caught. And then the post race checkovers, they realized, hey, that's not supposed to be there. And yeah, so that's why it all kind of
Willpower and Joseph, I'm not even going to say it, Newgarden.
Yeah, probably.
2-time defending Indy 500 champions who was trying to become the first driver to win 3 straight were relegated to the last row of the 33 car
which
field.
Sucks, man, because if you ended Ericsson ended second and now has to take a 31st out of 32 because your car had something in it that wasn't supposed to be in there. And again, this is how this works. If you cheat, you deserve to be at the bottom.
Yep.
And whether this is cheating or not, I have no idea. Somebody who actually follows racing pretty closely, please text in and let us know. 661-842-2000. I'll read the text message after the show. Trust me, and I will share it.
We could have got Scott Cox, but
yeah, I mean, again, I'd rather not. The Indy 500 was a success in terms of viewership. It was a success in terms of a first-time winner. However, I'm going to sit there and say that the obvious blemishes on Ericsson and his team at least make it a little bit of a negative thing. You know what I mean? You hate to see something as good as this have a stain on it. But I mean, again, the other thing that I'm thinking in my head too is if you're an Indiana Pacer, you need to tell the organization, stop scheduling us on the same day as the 500.
Right.
We can't win a basketball game. We're 0-4.
I read that and I was like, really?
The same day. Anytime they play on the same day as the Indy 500, they lose.
Well, they should do it tonight.
All of the sports energy goes straight to racing when you're in Indianapolis, man. It really does. It's all towards racing.
Game 4 of the Pacers and Knicks will be tonight with coverage beginning at 4:30 right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
I'm riding with Tyrese tonight. I have to.
I'm going Knicks.
I'm riding back to the Garden with Tyrese and the Pacers up 3-1.
I'll put a little lunch bet on that.
You want to? I'm down. Let's do it. This series has been some fun basketball, and I couldn't care less who wins. I really couldn't, because right now in my head, the team that's going to win the whole thing is the Thunder. After watching them dismantle Minnesota and really dismantle Denver and dismantle dang near every team that has come out and popped them in the mouth, it's hard to say that anybody is going to be able to beat them.
Yeah, you might be right with that one. But tune in tomorrow and really all week from live 7 to 9 a.m.
Jacob
Fatu will join us, the U.S. champ.
And we'll give you our first hint to our next special guest tomorrow, too. If you can guess it correctly, maybe we can hook you up with some swag. We'll see what goes on. But until then, thank you all for listening and watching on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.